In the case of Hollywood star Jonathan Majors, a jury has found him guilty of some charges.
A reported domestic dispute that took place in March 2023 between Jonathan Majors and his then-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, just culminated in a not-so-shocking ending. In this video, we'll be looking at all the ways the justice system failed Majors and how this affected his career and community. Jonathan Majors has faced severe consequences since his arrest for alleged domestic assault in March. Despite his representatives maintaining his innocence, the actor was convicted on 2 domestic violence charges on December 18, 2023. This has led to a significant impact on his career and future prospects in Hollywood. For one, Marvel Studios fired Majors on the same day he was found guilty. He was set to play the primary antagonist, Kang, in the upcoming superhero tales in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, before that bomb dropped, other projects such as the film adaptation of Walter Mosley's novel The Man in My Basement and the unannounced Otis Redding biopic Otis and Zelma had already dropped Majors from their cast. Consequently, Majors also lost a couple of brand deals. First, the U.S. Army postponed a campaign featuring him shortly after his arrest, and then the MLB's Texas Rangers removed him from their 2023 season ad campaign. Not only was he dropped from various projects, but he also lost representation from his management team at Entertainment 360 and from his PR team at the Letta Company as well. Aside from his family and friends, Majors showed up to court multiple times with his new girlfriend, actress Meagan Good. In fact, Meagan faced heavy scrutiny all because she chose to show solidarity and stand by her partner at such a tumultuous time. Majors stood accused of 2 counts of misdemeanor assault and 2 counts of harassment. According to prosecutors, the incident on March 29th began when the couple was in a private car from a party to Majors' apartment. A court filing states that Jabari saw a text message on Majors' phone that led to an altercation where he allegedly caused physical harm to Jabari. The filing also mentions that surveillance videos would be used in court. Majors was represented by defense lawyer Priya Chaudhry, who attempted to portray Jabari as physically aggressive and mentally unstable. During the trial, the defense claimed that Jabari was the one who assaulted Majors in an attempt to steal his phone, and this claim was allegedly supported by the actor's driver. The defense attorney, Priya Chaudhry, also argued that Jonathan Majors left the car during the incident and sent Grace Jabari a breakup text from a hotel where he stayed the night. The defense claimed that Jabari later showed up at Majors' apartment after partying and accused him of infidelity and threatened suicide. Majors returned home and found Jabari unconscious in a locked bedroom with injuries. Now, all of this happened before he finally made the 911 call that brought in the authorities. After a 3-week trial and 2 days of jury deliberation, Jonathan Majors was found guilty of misdemeanor assault and harassment. Now, let's back up a bit and examine the evidence again. Like supporters of Jonathan Majors would tell you, there is actual video evidence of Jabari being the aggressor in the events that happened that night. From the surveillance video, you can see that she chased him when he tried to de-escalate the situation by leaving the car. And she didn't chase him for a minute. Jabari chased Majors down a couple of blocks. How does one even defend this? Would you call this Stockholm Syndrome? We mean, with all this evidence that was set up to be used against Majors, how did they actually hold up in court? It is just wild that Majors faced the brunt of this by being convicted of a crime that he could have been a victim of. Wild as it sounds now, there is still some more evidence to unpack. Going back to that video, and this time slowing it down, you can see that Majors literally picked her up and was about to place her in the car. She must have hit her head in the process. And this is something that was bound to happen because she was not trying to stay calm. There was also a cut at the back of her ear. At no point can it be determined when she got that cut. Experts confirm that something sharp and precise had to have caused the injury. And at no point in the surveillance video will you find a sharp object on Majors. In this light, you could say Majors actually did everything right by avoiding Jabari that night. He checked into a hotel and also ignored more than 30 calls from Jabari that night. He only returned to his apartment in the morning because Jabari was threatening to commit suicide. Jabari, on the other hand, had partied at a club for most of the night before making her way to his apartment. She had vomited on the bed and passed out in Major's walk-in closet. Now, any black man would tell you that finding a white woman passed out in his house is way up there as a terrifying nightmare. Again, he did the right thing by calling the police, only to have the story flipped on him. There are so many theories from this point. Jabari could have sustained her injuries when she passed out, or the responding officers, seeing the white lady in distress, coached her into the things she said in her initial report. So many people have compared this case to that of Johnny Depp and his ex-wife, Amber Heard. And if you are one of those who subscribe to this thought, then you may already have thought of the possibility that Majors, being a black man, was what made him unlucky in his situation. The initial charges shocked fans as Majors had portrayed soft-spoken, sensitive masculinity in his public image during his rise in Hollywood. So it was even more surprising when the court process revealed multiple allegations of abuse, domestic violence, and controlling behavior against Majors. He currently faces a potential jail sentence of up to 1 year because the jury acquitted him of these serious charges. Notably, this verdict probably marks the end of Majors' promising career. It must not have been easy going from Yale's drama school to becoming an A-list actor in Hollywood. So many others must have tried and failed. The public's initial response to Majors' arrest was mixed, as there are so many questions and uncertainties surrounding the case like we established. Some even wondered if false assumptions were made based on Majors' race, and they may not be wrong to assume this. There is something of a double standard in how famous white men accused of domestic violence are treated compared to famous black men. Majors, being a physically buff and famous black man, may have played a part in how his case turned out. Do we even need to go on about the effects these kinds of cases have on black men? We are talking about psychological distress, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even depression. To make this worse, black men often encounter obstacles in assessing mental health care and wellness, from the traditional masculine mentality to the lack of culturally responsive or relatable mental health workers. It is sometimes a challenge to get mental help. Sadly, this will be intensified in the context of being a Hollywood celebrity. Jonathan Majors was in the wrong to put his hands on her, even though it was an alleged attempt to get her help in that moment of emotional rage. Still, can you say that the evidence supposedly against him is sufficient, considering all that he has lost and still stands to lose?